In this video, I'm going to introduce calculation context. In Historian, every calculation keeps a stateful context which retains the last result and timestamp of the calculation and other useful information. To edit the calculation context, we need to make sure that the calculation is paused, and after that, everything in the context can be edited. This is how the context in our calculation looks like. We have at the top here the local context, and then we have context field from there where we can see our inputs, previous values of our inputs, and here we see the alias of our inputs, and at the bottom of it we have the tags that were mapped to our inputs, that if there are any, the data type of our input data reference, the name of our input measurements, the timestamp, the last timestamp of our input, and the last value of the input. Then we have the previous results section where we can see the previous tags if there were any mapped in the script, and the previous value of our result, and if there were any statuses that were also indicated in the script, then we would be able to see that here as well. And at the bottom we have the interval of our calculation, and we have, if we have set an offset, there is the offset field, and lastly we have the previous timestamp of our calculation and the timestamp of the calculation. So in Historian, if we take a look at one of the sampled calculations, we have inputs under the alias of energy and flow rate, and after that we have our context field here, and if we expand that, we will be able to see the context of our calculation. And we see that under the previous input section we have the aliases of our input references, and if there were any tags, you would be able to see them mapped here, and we can see the data type of our input references, the name of our measurements that we used for our input reference, the timestamp, the value of our inputs. And in the bottom here we have the previous results section where we can see if there were any mapped tags in the script here, and the value of our previous results. We can see the interval of our calculation, the offset, and the previous timestamp and the current timestamp. And the interval, as we can see, is 1 minute, so it's in milliseconds here, and also we don't have any offsets, and that is why we see 0.